Well, the police have since confirmed that De Ruyter met with National Police Commissioner General Fani Masemola over the alleged corruption at the utility. The presidency also confirmed that De Ruyter had another meeting with security advisor Sydney Mufamadi over claims that 4 cartels have corrupted Eskom. Well, let's bring in legal analyst Mpumelelo Zikalala to give analysis on these developments. Mpumelelo, thank you so much for your time and thank you for joining us this morning. Very vague utterances from the ANC's Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, noting that as an organization they believe that something illegal was committed there. And hence our conversation this morning. What the ANC is trying to do, essentially compel De Ruyter to give more details to the allegations that he made. Is there a legal basis on that request?
Well, they can be if they come up with something which is much more substantial. Judging from what the Secretary General has said, this more sounds like as if they sent a letter of demand to Eskom and also to Mr. André de Ruyter, saying to him, if you didn't provide the information, then you are going to go to SAPS, for example, and lay a charge. That particular charge would be contravention of Section 34 of PRECA, which is the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act. It places an onus on people who are in the authority to report any type of criminal activities that have taken place. Now, to link it to that, we have here Mr. André de Ruyter on record stating that I've sat with the highest lieutenants within the SAPS and I've given them this particular information, so I've done my job and complied with Section 34. There's nothing else that I could have done. Unless if there are other activities maybe not known to us or not disclosed to the public, in which Mr. André de Ruyter ought to have known but did not disclose. But it doesn't end there. The ANC as a political party must then look at it and say, we are in government. We have people that we have deployed in these particular entities to play oversight authority, to play an oversight role. So if they are going to come on record, as the Minister of Public Enterprises did earlier, and say, yes, I was informed of such things, and he did not go back to the ANC and tell them that, hey, look, as a ruling party, this is what I'm faced with within the place in which I'm deployed with. Maybe they must start to get their own monitoring and evaluation and see where it takes. But if there are merits in what they are saying, and the case was supposed to be opened but not, then it's still their responsibility to make sure that they go to law enforcement agencies and force Mr. André de Ruyter to come with an explanation as to why wasn't that corrupt activities explained or reported on.
Part of the grievance that's been shared with us here by the African National Congress is the fact that Mr. De Ruyter went and held a public interview in which he, released all these spurious allegations and has, in essence, brought the organization into disrepute. And I wonder if that in and of itself is enough for some sort of defamatory case to be opened against the former executive. Because he did go out in public, mentioned a few things, but also failed to provide any evidence to back it up. And so these allegations are out in the public and hasn't really afforded individuals or the organization to come forward and to refute.
It can be. I think there is a case for him to answer on defamation proceedings, which is more or less your civil proceedings rather than criminal ones. But again, when you go to court on that, our courts have stated, and case law has stated previously, and so you see when it comes to political parties, there is some sort of leeway in which you can make sort of general statements. But however, if you can provide conclusive proof, then you can go ahead and make those statements with ease. The more credible, I think, action that could take place, if you sue Mr. André de Ruyter for a breach of contract, I'm pretty sure in his contract there's some type of confidentiality clause that has been included. If it's not there, it would be highly unusual for a person of such a high caliber and the highest echelon within an organization who is the CEO not to have a confidentiality agreement inserted. So on that basis, then you can take him to court and say, when you signed this agreement with us, you said that you are going to keep quiet and not disclose our data laundering the public for a certain period of time. That is what you've done. This is the harm that you have suffered. So we want to sue you based on civil proceedings and also retraction of the things that you've stated. Now, that's more credible and much more easier to action than what the African National Congress is doing. Yes, they can do that as an action pressure group, but the more important litigants in this particular matter would be Eskom itself, because they would say, as an organization, as an entity, we want to protect our credibility. And ways of doing that is to make sure that we hold you, Mr. André de Ruyter, accountable. And what must also be a lesson for any other future CEOs which are going to come in to say, we understand the terms and conditions of our employment agreement and we stick to them and we force people to comply with them. When they don't, we do indeed take action.
If indeed there is, merit to the argument that you've just put forward, Mpumelelo, around a possible contractual breach on the part of Mr. de Ruyter, another element that I'd like for us to entertain while we still have you is this idea that essentially what he was doing was blowing the whistle on the corruptions and the looting and the nefarious going-ons at Eskom. And so he's essentially a whistleblower. And at this particular point, given the threats that are coming toward him, be they assassination attempts, as we saw allegedly in December, or legal threats by the ANC coming forward in this public manner, should he be afforded protection as a whistleblower? I mean, what does the law say in South Africa with regards to whistleblowing? What does it look like? And moving forward, how do we shield individuals who want to get the truth about what's happening in an organization out into the public? Because we know, indeed, many of them are forced to keep quiet because of the confidentiality clauses that you just mentioned.
Now, in South Africa, we have what we call the Protected Disclosures Act. Sometimes they call it the Whistleblowers Policy or Act. Now, it's very clear as to how we are supposed to make these protected disclosures. And it goes up all the way up until any minister or any president, and also law enforcement agencies that you can go through them. What is more important, though, is the procedure that you must follow, because it must not be haphazard in the manner in which you are going to disclose this information. Now, if Mr. André de Ruyter, out of fear of his life, started with, for example, the minister went over to the presidency or even the public protector or any other executive and said to him, here's a dossier in which I want to submit to you which contains very vital information about Eskom. I'm not going to end there. I'm still going to report it to the SIU, even to the Minister of the Police or any other law enforcement agencies which takes place or investigates high priority crimes. And if there are any investigations which are taking place within Eskom, then speak with the prosecutor and even the NPA and say to them, this is vital information that I think if it's within your possession is going to assist you in the manner when you need to prosecute. Now, you are going to get all the protection that you need if you follow the legislative prescriptions as explained earlier. If you go to the media, there's no protection that you are going to get except a community or public sympathy, which sometimes can go a long way in terms of protection, but it's not the ultimate way in which things ought to be done. So follow the correct procedure and then the law will be able to protect you. I must state on record though, that even the Protected Disclosure Act is not foolproof that you are going to be protected. There are individuals that have used it before and they found it very useless in terms of their protection and did not assist anyone. Ask anyone who was ever testified within the State Capture Commission as changed by the Chief Justice Babuzon. They will tell you that sometimes they even have to leave their homes and live somewhere else due to the inadequacy of the Protected Disclosure Act. Now, moving then, there's a further protection. The police do have written protection services and initiatives in which one can engage in if they do see that the evidence in which you hold is crucial, is going to be utilized at a later stage. So there are ways of protecting yourself and the evidence that you have, but the manner in which you are going to disclose that particular evidence is also crucial, and it's not the manner in which Mr. André de Ruyter is done. However, we do speak under the expectation maybe that he did go the right way, and going to the public was the last resort after he exhausted all the internal processes.
Well, the deadline has been set. He's been given 7 days to furnish the organization with the said evidence that they're looking for. In the event that he's unable to do this, and this presumably ends up in court, how do you see it playing out?
Well, I think from his defense, he would say, I did comply with the provisions of the Act as stated. If you say that I did not disclose, then I would say that I did. I compared to Section 34. In fact, it was highest lieutenants. Now, let's look at what the Act says. The Act says, it doesn't explicitly say a case must be opened and followed up by you as a person who has opened. It simply said report it to any police official. Now, any police official that is there could be a person who you are going to meet within the charge office, the warrant officer. But in this case, it was a notch higher. It was the highest ranking police officials within the SAPS. So the fact that they don't continue and follow up with what they ought to do as per the Section 34 regulations is prescribed by the act. It's only the onus is then on them to say, what do we do when this type of allegation then popped up? Again, the attack would swing towards the ANC in terms of saying, after your political appointee was informed of this particular information, what did he do to try and combat these type of things from taking place in the first place? Why is he there if he cannot sound the alarm, provide initiative in which to block the looting, and simply acts as a post box of saying this is information that I've received and does nothing about it?
Right. Well, Mpumelelo, thank you so much for your time and thank you for coming onto our program this morning. That was legal analyst Mpumelelo Zikalala helping us to break down the ANC serving former Eskom CEO André de Ruyter with those legal papers.